A cloud of questions hangs in the air as we head into Springfield. Will the reemergence of Chevrolet, thanks to the muscle of Dan Patrick and Sampson, continue? Can Fred Schaefer make his move in the PENDA Point Series by showing the way in the Show Me State? Can the Carolina Crusher put back the pieces from this shattering experience? Tough questions, tough answers, tough racing. Next. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the best in MTRA monster truck racing. Today, it's the Monster Truck Thunder Drags from the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds in Springfield, Missouri. This is round 5 of the PENDA Point Series. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee, and welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power. For the first time this season, we are racing under the lights. Now, will this change in the environment have an impact and perhaps have a chance for these guys to break the stranglehold that Bob Chandler seems to have over this series? In fact, after Bloomsburg, the Bigfoot trucks are 1 and 2 in the point standings. Now, right now, we're in the mobile work unit for the Sampson Chevrolet truck. And Sampson, with driver Dan Patrick, was a pleasant surprise at Bloomsburg. A victor, the first time for Chevrolet in a long time. And also, Dan had the first run ever in the 4-second bracket. So Chevy, once again, can be a player. Unfortunately, tonight, Dan has been knocked out of competition in round 1. Round 1 is now over. Let's check in on the competition. Trackside is Army Armstrong.
What you're looking at is the right lane in Springfield, Missouri. Now, while we're looking at the right lane, it's very simple. If there's a story to be told, it's got to come out of the right lane. Why? Every winner in the first round came out of the right lane. That'll not be able to be the case in the next round, because some of the guys that won in this lane in the first round are going to have to go to the other lane in the next round, and those are the guys that are sweating BBs in the pit area. Why did the right lane work so well, you might want to know? Real simple. This lane, for some reason, was built over an existing road, a gravel road. Looky here. Even though the track is torn up a little bit, you still have gravel pieces in here, and that allows these monster trucks to dig in and not to go so far down into the ground. So the big story of the day is everybody walking through the pit area with their big grin on their face. They're going in the right lane this round, and the guys that are singing the left lane blues, you know where they're going. Back to you, Gary.
Well, Army, taking a look at some highlights now. Andy Brash showed us in qualifying that the right lane was indeed the place to be. Now, last year it was just the exact opposite, with virtually every win coming from the left lane. But as you indicated tonight, the right lane is the place to run. There's a look at the Overkill truck. The Overkill is Kirk Dabney. He came to this race 4th place in the PENDA Point Series. Andy Brash would have to back up that qualifying run. Best time of round 1, and he did so in this win over Kirk Dabney. There's a time at 5:10. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Dan Patrick, who looked so promising in Bloomsburg, broke something in qualifying and makes a quick and unceremonious round 1 exit. And of course, Fred Schaefer goes on to round 2 competition with his clocking of 5.35. And here's a different look from the Crush Cam. Watch this, Army, and that's why we call it the Crush Cam.
You ever wonder what it looked like to get hit in the face? Right, you saw it.
Gary Wiggins, Carolina Crusher, is here in Springfield this weekend. Gary Porter is repairing the truck, which we saw in the opening that he wrecked a week ago in Bloomsburg.
But once again, he goes into the infamous left lane, and it cost him a win.
There's a look at Pam Vodders against Paul Schaefer. Vodders in that far lane. Now, Vodders in the round 1 competition had some trouble in the shutdown area right here. Makes a hard left-hand turn and heads for the fence.
She had through the fence, Gary.
Well, she was all right. I think she was more concerned about any damage to the truck than to the driver. So we'll come back with more action from Springfield, Missouri on Trucks and Tractor Power. Welcome back to the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds here in Springfield, Missouri for the PENDA Monster Truck Thunder Drags. And here is a look now at the matchups as we go into round 2. Now, once again, the fast loser from round 2 will advance to the semis. Nobody wants that left lane, and there's the guy that will have that left lane. Ray Perkowski in the Dodge Express doing the dry hops, trying to get some footing. Ray's taking on Andy Brass in the coveted near lane. Brass, of course, comes out of the St. Louis area in the Bigfoot Ford. He's the fast qualifier. He had lane choice, and once again, he took that right lane. Now, earlier, Army took a look at the track conditions.
Gary, believe it or not, what you're looking at is the actual surface these monster trucks are running on. Now, as you well know, this afternoon there was a torrential rainstorm that came through for about 45 minutes. It just rained cats and dogs. Well, then the sun came out and it dried everything up, and all the drivers thought, we got a dry track to run on. Well, that's not the case, because now that the sun has gone back down, the moisture is starting to come up. And as you can see, it's turning everything into nothing but goo. Now, the moisture coming up on the starting line means one thing. It's going to be tough to get off the starting line. But you have a compounded problem on the other end of the track, because that same moisture is getting the shutdown area. And the shutdown area here is grass. And as you well know, there's nothing in the world slicker than wet grass. Back to you, Gary.
I like your verbiage, goo. It's not a tacky track, it's gooey. As we take a look at the matchup here with Ray Porkowski, the far lane, Andy Brass, the near lane, Dodge against Ford. This is round 2 action from Springfield, Missouri. And you can see how moist that track is there in the staging area. It's going to be all Andy Brass. The Bigfoot Ford takes the victory. Andy Brass with a ET of 5.21. The time for Ray Porkowski was a 5.70. So the Dodge will have to hang on. That probably will not be the fast loser. The fast loser comes back, but that won't be fast enough to get him on.
No, that left lane, boy, it's a kiss of death tonight for everybody.
We take a look there at Colt Cobra out of Colorado in the snakebite truck. He once again will be in that far lane. Now this is in round 1. He took out Don Van Loo, and there's the action from round 1. It was all snakebite.
You know, there's so many guys that compete for the top 12 positions to get into this thing, and we just pick them up on TV in the second round, but you don't get to see Van Loo a lot. As Dan Runte comes up, he'll be driving the Bigfoot Power Wheel vehicle. You don't get to see the Hall brothers or Pam Botter either, but these are good monster truck racers. They're just having trouble getting past the first round. They're doing great by qualifying, but getting past the first round into the TV round, they all want to do that.
Well, a pair of Fords right here. The Power Wheels Bigfoot, the nearest lane to the camera, and that's the lane everybody wants to be in. So let's see what happens here. Colt Cobra in snakebite in the far lane, a pair of Fords.
Well, if any animal in the world is going to like gooey, slimy weather, it's got to be a snake. Let's see if he can do it. Hey, he's out on him.
Oh, he had a good hole shot. Yeah, well, I don't know. It looked like Runte got him at the very end by perhaps a headlight. 538. 538 for Dan Runte to a 546. Indeed, the snakebite had the hole shot. But somehow that Ford Power Wheels Bigfoot got down in no man's land, hooked up the horsepower, and made a run at him.
Snakebite moves on him and hangs just a little bit. Right there is what happened. He hung just a little bit. Dan Runte got down, planted the horsepower, and went on to win.
So Dan Runte takes the victory, and we're going to take the unique look from our crush cam as Runte goes right overhead, as he will take the victory, and Colt Cobra will have to hang around to see if he's the fast loser.
Tell you what, right lane is good, left lane's bad, simple as that.
Yeah, actually, Army, that pass there, I was just explaining to Gary, the crew chief here, didn't feel like it was hooking up as hard as it did the pass before. It turned in a real close time to the pass we made before, but it just seems like that lane's starting to go away too. I'm not sure what we're going to do here in the next round.
We had the same scenario at Bloomsburg, and one guy came out and won the whole thing. That was you out of the lane that nobody else could win out of. Could that be the scenario here tonight? That left lane could be the lane to be in the final?
It could very well be, Army. You know, like I said, it just seems like it's a little slower off the line. The Ford Bigfoot Power Wheels is really doing a good job. I mean, it's dialed into the track like this. It's working well. It just seems like it's not pulling as hard, and it may be the lane to be in.
And that could be the guy to beat this evening, Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot. Well, coming up now, a race between a pair of Schaefers. There is Paul Schaefer in the Monster Patrol. He goes against Fred Schaefer's Barefoot. There's a look at Paul Schaefer out of Portage, Indiana. Now, Fred Schaefer's an old drag racer, and he brings over a lot of technology from drag racing. Earlier, Army took a look at the Barefoot design.
The Dodge Hemi engine and drivetrain, very, very similar to the exact same thing you see each and every week at drag strips across the country. The Dodge Hemi engine, powered by alcohol to make all the horsepower you want, but the big question is, how do you get the horsepower to go to the ground? Well, basically what you have in this assembly here, the bell housing, is 3 clutch discs, so you can adjust the clutch discs. You loosen them up, you get more slip. You tighten them up, you get a better bite. Also behind the clutch setup is a Lenco transmission, very, very similar or identical really to the one they use in the drag cars. And the Lenco transmission has a lot of different gear selections, so externally you can adjust the truck for each round. And that's exactly what happens. Before each run, the driver will go out and check the track and come back and decide whether he and the crew need to tighten the clutch up or loosen it up, or to change the gear to go to a quicker or a taller gear in the Linco transmission. So the one thing constant in monster truck racing is you're always going to be adjusting your drivetrain. The horsepower is there. How you get the horsepower to the ground is what this sport is all about, and you do it each and every time before each and every run. Back to you, Gary.
Army, we talk about Fred Schaefer's experience in drag racing, but Paul Schaefer is an old oval dirt tracker.
You're exactly right. He used to run on the series like the Stars series and the Have a Tampa series and what have you, so the mud's not new to him. He just got to figure out how to make that thing go the other end quicker. He's out on it. No, mid-track it cost him, Gary.
Yeah, once again, mid-track is where Fred Schaefer picks up the victory. Barefoot will continue at 5.28, as we'll take a look at the time now for Paul Schaefer in the Monster Patrol, and his time is a 5:71. So a lot of disparity, and these guys are waiting to see which fast loser will move on.
Exactly, exactly.
We take a look once again. Paul Schaefer, the far lane away from the camera, got a good jump, but it's right through this section right here. The horsepower kicks in, and there goes Schaefer. Fred Schaefer takes the victory.
Fred Schaefer, if you're going to win the national championship in this series, you have got to turn your luck around. And this next run could be the pivotal run of the year. If you put him out, you knock him away from points, and you keep adding points to your side, and the Lord knows you need the points.
That's exactly right, Army. That's what I got to do. I got to put him out and get them points, and every week, just a few more points.
Who gets lane choice?
I believe she just told me I had a faster time than him, so I'm going to go to the right lane. I get lane choice.
That's one thing a driver loves to hear in this series, lane choice. There are your matchups for the semifinals. We're coming back with it. Stay with us. Welcome back to Springfield. Gary Lee along with Army Armstrong. We are ready for semifinal action as the matchups begin here under the stars. We had rain earlier. It's dried out, but still very humid here in Springfield. There's a look at Andy Brass and Bigfoot. The Bigfoot Cruiser on the far side of Andy will be Colt Cobra in the Snakebite Ford.
Both of these vehicles are running the very same motor, same combinations and everything. The horsepower is not the big question tonight. Like you said, the air's good. I mean, it's cool. The humidity's up. The motors are making buku horsepower. It's just getting it to stick to the ground.
Well, it's a trade-off because with this high humidity, we also have a very moist track. So what they gain in horsepower,
right,
they lose in track conditions.
Exactly, exactly.
So a pair of Fords.
Yeah, these guys are making a ton of horsepower. See, both of them slip just a little bit on the line.
Andy Brass takes the victory. He'll go at the championship round. But you're right, both guys spinning their wheels at the starting line. Andy Brass, a 5:43. We can see the reflection in the times. The times have slowed down since they qualified earlier.
But everybody's time is slowing down the same amount, so that tells us it has to be the physical. Look how wet the front tires are, see? It's the physical condition of the track they're running on.
Yeah, you can see the mud there on the Power Wheels Bigfoot. Dan Runty is staging that Ford, and in the near lane will be the Barefoot Dodge of Fred Schaefer. First, before we run these two guys off, let's go back trackside and talk to Andy Brass.
Andy, no easy task putting the snake truck away.
No, it ain't. You know, Snake's always been a good runner, but the Ford Bigfoot's been doing us a good job tonight. You know, John Kazi, he's been doing us real well running. Gary Saline's been tuning the motor on the truck here. He's been pressing on her a little bit, but that's what it's going to be taking this year. You know, everybody's running real close or running real hard, and you're just going to have to be leaning on these trucks. And he's done a real well job of tuning my truck for me, and it's been doing a good job of running, and all I got to do is drive it.
Back to the starting line, Fred Schaefer is in a battle for his life in the PENDA Point Series, and here's more on what he had to say about this particular run.
Fred, it looks like Dan Runty's trying to put you in his crosshairs. He wants to beat the Dodge. How do you feel about that?
Army, he's real sharp on a light, and I hope that Dodge horsepower just does it for me, and we got lane choice, so let's just see what happens.
What about no man's land here? It seems like you've made some kind of a change since qualifying, and the truck's acting completely different, really just two-wheeling it down this track.
Yeah, we tried to gear change here, Army, because we got too much power and it's breaking the tires loose, so we think it's going to do a little better with this gear in it.
Of course, that was earlier, and this is now. Fred Schaefer, the near lane, the big Dodge against the Ford of Dan Runty in the far lane for the right to meet Andy Brass for the championship here in Springfield. As they stage, who's it going to be?
Well, I tell you, you can cut the drama out there with a knife.
Again, both very slow off the
Oh,
starting
Schaefer's
line.
in trouble, Gary.
Now, Fred Schaefer had a very poor run as Dan Runte advances to the championship round at 5:43, but not a good run for Fred Schaefer. He had trouble with that truck. He got off to the right. And there he sits down there in the shutoff area, so obviously a problem with that particular. As we take a look again from the crush cam.
Yeah, but the word we're going to get is when Fred finished this run, he's already knocked out one crush cam this year. This was the second.
Well, he's taking out his anger on the crush cam as he gets eliminated from competition.
You just put the big Dodge on the trailer and didn't blink an eye about it. You seem to have a lot of confidence right now.
Actually, the Ford Power Wheels Bigfoot's really running well. Like I said before, Army, it's hooking up. Firestone tires is really, they're working in the mud out here. I mean, I gotta give them credit. It's been real lane choice here tonight. And Fred, of course, came into this with the faster time, had lane choice, pushed me over there in that other lane. You know, we talked about that, and you know, it was tough. We talked about it amongst the crew and everybody else, and it was just tough going, but we made it over there in that other lane, and we figured we could.
Well, Dan, of course, proves again he's one tough Ford competitor, but there were some other tough, stout trucks on hand this evening. Yes, it's time for the tough trucks. Shane Ballard, our old friend from Bloomsburg, made the trek over to Springfield to entertain the fans in his zebra-painted Bronco. Look at the air this guy gets, Army.
I'll tell you what, this is getting to be a lot of fun. Now, you can tell who takes it serious and who doesn't, though, Gary.
Now when you go through tough trucking at night, you use the headlights. Randy Finnup in a 78 Ford looks like he hauls the hay bales or livestock in that thing.
Yeah, it's a hay hauler by day, but it's a tough truck by night.
And there goes the front axle. No, I guess he kept it intact. Hey, we're coming back for more. Don't go away. Stay with us. The four-wheel Jamboree is part of the Special Events Performance Series for the truck buff or those just looking to have a fun day out with the family. There's something for everyone. Visit the manufacturer's Midway or check out the Show and Shine competition. Contact Special Events Promotion Company and take part in this four-wheel fun. Well, the monster truck Thunder Drags are also part of the Special Events Performance Series, and it's final time. Andy Brass and Bigfoot goes up against his teammate Dan Runte in the Power Wheels Bigfoot, and earlier Army caught up with him.
For the second week in a row, there's only been one truck that can figure out how to win in a bad lane. He's going to the final. Dan Runte, how do you do it when nobody else can?
Actually, Army, that lane has got better all night. It's just, it's not a choice that I want to go over in that lane, but I don't know, it's something that we're going to have to try and see if we can get the truck to hook up. Like I say, it's been hooking up and running real straight. I think we can go over there and be real confident for it to win.
Well, he's always confident in his equipment when you're racing with Bigfoot.
One thing for sure, Ford will win. It's just a question of which Ford.
Well, this is going to be a tough one to pick because we have seen Dan Runte really come on this season. He is second in the PENDA points right now, but he's certainly closing the gap down on Andy.
He's the kind of guy, if he's a sprint car driver, he'll be trying the lane that nobody else tries. And it's worked for him all year long, so you don't mess with success. You know, if
everybody else is running the cush, he's going to go down the inside and try the pole.
Or if they're on the bottom, he'll run up top. But tonight, he just got to go to the other end.
Yeah, he has no choice but to take that left lane because Andy Brass had the lane choice. He takes the right. Look at him spin the tires.
A lot of wheel slippage on the starting line.
And it is. And, oh! Was Brass disqualified?
I don't know. The rules say those front two tires must hit the object they're jumping.
Apparently not. 536. They give Andy Brass the 536. Dan Runte the 556. So Andy Brass wins it. There was some question there at the finish if Andy Brass had made a legal pass. Watch again. Watch the left side of your screen and watch the far side. Watch the far tires.
They have to make contact. Yeah, they hit something. Look how far over he went.
Man, he's talking about high-siding a truck.
But that puts him in the national points lead. That battle, we completely forgot about that. Here's another shot of it. He was almost out of the view of the camera, Gary.
Looking at the current points, 720, the margin for Andy Brass over Runte, then it's Schaefer, Daphne, and Colt Cobra, and here's your winner.
Gary, I tell you what, the big story could be right here on his license plate. Andy Brass could have the #1 truck this year. Very honestly, you're just beating up on these guys.
Well, we've been doing a pretty good job with the truck this year. You know, we come out with this truck. This is the old Wildfoot truck, so we're running the same truck as what we won the points championship with last year. So I feel we got just a little bit of an edge. You know, we come out here with an older truck. I know the gearing to use in the truck. The motors are the same. You know, the John Kazi-Hemi's been doing us a real well job. You know, we just got our pill system, the air meters and stuff, you know, we've been using. We got all the readings from last year, so I can pretty well dial the truck in right off the bat. I don't got to sit out here and make all my runs and try to get the truck dialed in. So it works out pretty well for us.
The third PENDA Points Series win this year for Andy Brass. We hope you enjoyed today's monster truck racing from Springfield, Missouri. Our congratulations to Andy Brass. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.
Bring the excitement of mud monster truck racing into your living room with Diamond P's newest horsepower hit. Trust me, you're in there with this third strike. Shake, battle, and roll 3. It's all new and all you come to expect, from the outrageous mishaps of the monster truck racing to the raucous rampage through the mud bogs. Shake, battle, and roll 3 is a must for any and every monster truck fan in the house. Over 60 minutes of jarring and pounding, mud and mayhem, and accelerated aerobatics you don't want to miss. To get your copy of Shake, Battle, and Roll 3, call 1-800-438-8585 or send $19.95 check or money order plus $4 shipping and handling to the address shown on your screen, or charge it on your MasterCard, Visa, or Discovery card. Call 1-800-438-8585 for Shake, Battle, and Roll 3.